You feel that? That eerie silence crawling across the wires. Yeah, that's not peace. That's analysis mode. They're not breathing right now. They're replaying the footage, frame by frame, trying to decode the move you just made. Because it wasn't normal. It wasn't even human. It was surgical. It was divine terror. And now, every room you've ever been underestimated in just flipped red. Speech begins. They don't even know what to call you anymore. One moment you were the outcast, the too quiet, the too weird, the easy target. Now you've got analysts shaking in air-conditioned bunkers, asking, "Who TF trained you?" Like they just found classified warfare hidden in your spine. But the truth is, no one trained you. You trained yourself. In silence, in rage, in betrayal. In all those nights they laughed at you behind cheap glass and thought you didn't hear. You weren't just surviving. You were programming, line by line, pain by pain. Every breakdown, a boot sequence, every betrayal, a module update, every fucking failure. Another upgrade to the war machine behind your smile. You were the perfect ghost in plain sight. They had no idea the final boss was standing beside them the whole time, holding receipts and smiling. You didn't go loud. You went accurate. That last move, no rage, no mess, just precision, like a scalpel to a corrupted bloodline. One flick, and entire networks collapsed in silence. Now look at them, panicking behind closed doors, burning through footage, cross-referencing timelines, trying to figure out where they lost control of the narrative. But that's the punchline, isn't it? They never had control. You just let them think they did. You let them build their castles of arrogance, so you could detonate them with one glitch in the matrix, and oh, how beautifully you glitched. You see, they thought power was noise, flash, status, followers, but you showed them the truth. Real power is patternless, untrackable, irrational on purpose, a storm with a memory. Because when they can't predict you, they can't control you. And when they can't control you, they fear you, desperately, violently, institutionally. That's why they're whispering now, not about your past, not about your personality, but about that move, that inhumanly perfect, God-tier, chess-breaking move that reset their entire operating system. They don't even remember why they hated you. They just know they should have never provoked you. And here's the part that fries their nervous systems the most. You didn't brag, you didn't post, you didn't even blink. You just executed and left a void where their pride used to be. Now they're running diagnostics on your silence, zooming in on your eyes from surveillance screenshots, cross-examining your past like it's a goddamn crime scene. But the file won't match, because you didn't evolve. You switched timelines. You're not the healed version, you're the rewritten one, a paradox stitched from pain and prophecy, half angel, half anomaly, the saint they laughed at, reborn as the threat they can't define. And that's what makes you lethal. You're not just unpredictable, you're unreadable. You glitch every algorithm built to profile you. You're the error in their belief system. You're the divine punishment for underestimating what pain can sculpt when no one's watching. You trained under silence. Your mentor, rejection. Your gym, loneliness. Your classroom, chaos. Your degree, in obliteration. You didn't just study revenge. You reverse-engineered the very laws of power and then rewrote the syllabus in their mother tongue. But encrypted. And now they can't keep up. They're in meetings with whiteboards covered in your name, saying, "This wasn't supposed to happen. You weren't supposed to survive. You weren't supposed to rise. You weren't supposed to outmaneuver their system. But you didn't rise. You infiltrated and then detonated your old self as a distraction. That's why they're shaking. That's why they're asking, who trained him? Because if you trained yourself to become this, what the hell are you becoming next? And that question, that one unspoken dread, is the new religion burning behind their eyes. They pray you stop, but you won't. You're not just evolved. You're possessed by precision. You're not addicted to revenge. You're addicted to clarity, to motion, to mutation, to justice without courtroom or jury. Your heart doesn't beat for applause. It pulses like a metronome made of strategy, and they can't stop it. You're not fighting back. You're finishing the simulation. They took you for a game. You turned the board into a bomb, and now they're all hostages to the silence after your move. Tick-tock. Analysis complete. They were never ready for you. Not back then, not now, not ever. And still, you haven't even started now. Oh, they thought that was it. They thought your silence meant completion. No, that was just a check. The next move is checkmate, and the scariest part. They keep refreshing the footage, zooming, slowing it down, trying to find some twitch, some glitch, some tremor in your eyes that says, he's still emotional. But what they don't understand is you deleted emotion from the equation. You didn't react. You responded with strategy, with restraint, with mathematical wrath, and that scares them more than fury ever could. Because fury they can exploit, emotion they can manipulate. But what you did, that was cold logic dipped in hellfire. No wasted movement, no flinch, just execution, just that move. That one move that made every fake connection shut down, that made every group chat go silent, that made people you haven't spoken to in years start texting each other your name in lowercase letters, like they just saw a demon walk past their window. Because what you pulled off, it wasn't personal, it was surgical sabotage. You didn't take revenge, you administered a correction. You didn't scream at the storm, you rewired the weather. And now, they're drenched without even realizing you moved the clouds 3 months ago. See, that's the terrifying part, isn't it? They just realized you planned this a long time ago. That your smile at the betrayal wasn't forgiveness, it was calculation. That your silence wasn't weakness. It was sinking, uploading, preparing. They're in analysis mode because your entire existence just contradicted their beliefs. You didn't lash out. You didn't spiral. You waited. You disappeared. You let them cook their lies in peace. And then you walked in and flipped the stove into a war crime. They don't even know what you're capable of anymore. They don't know who you are anymore. They're staring at your name on screens, and it's starting to glitch. They're asking, where did he go? What's his next move? Does he know what we said? Is he watching us right now? Oh, sweet irony. The watchers are being watched. The liars are being listened to. The analysts are being examined. And your silence? It's become their investigation. You didn't just flip the power dynamic. You erased the blueprint. You didn't grow. You shattered your own ceiling and turned the shards into mirrors. And now they're looking at themselves through the wreckage you left behind. And what do they see? Inferiority, fear, a complete lack of preparation. Because when they tried to bury you, they thought they were ending a chapter. They didn't know they were pressing initiate protocol. You're not a comeback story. You're not a redemption arc. You're not a feel-good narrative. You are a system failure dressed as evolution, a ghost update that no antivirus can block, a signal only the real ones can decode. They see the aftermath of your move and whisper, "Who the hell trained him?" But the horror? No one did. You trained yourself in the trenches. You wrote your own damn code in the dark. You weren't taught. You were forged in betrayal, in disbelief, in fake love and secret screenshots, in years of being the joke, the target, the disposable variable in their equation. But now you are the equation, and they're the glitch. They keep trying to trace the source, trying to connect the dots, trying to analyze your facial expressions like they're reading hieroglyphs written in vengeance. But every time they think they've found the pattern, you pivot, effortlessly, like you anticipated their interpretation and coded misdirection into your existence. You're no longer just unpredictable. You're uncontainable. You don't break rules. You replace them. You don't seek justice. You become prophecy. They tried to tag you, label you, diagnose you, track you. But the moment they thought they figured you out, you became the lesson they'll never recover from. So now they sit in boardrooms, in basements, in bedrooms, replaying that one perfect move on loop. The silence before it, the chill after it, the look in your eyes that said, "This was never a reaction, this was a response from the future." And now, the paranoia is personal, because if you had that kind of control the whole time, what else are you hiding? How many more steps ahead are you? What else have you predicted? And the final whisper, the one none of them will say out loud, but every cell in their body is screaming, if he could do that alone. What the fuck happens if he decides to do more? So go ahead. Let them analyze. Let them study the move. Let them try to reverse engineer a blueprint you burned in your own bloodstream. Because they're not decoding a tactic. They're decoding a threat they can't contain. And you're already planning the next move. Stay quiet. Stay surgical. Stay dangerous. They keep calling it that move. Like it's a singular thing. Like you played your hand. Like the war is over. Fools. That wasn't the move. That was just the key, the access point, the data breach in their delusion. You didn't strike. You installed something. And now, while they're stuck on replay, looping the footage, you never needed to beat them. You needed them to reveal themselves. And when they laughed, you logged it. When they lied, you documented it. When they thought they broke you, you recorded everything in high-resolution silence. And now, they're running post-mortem diagnostics on a situation you staged months ago. They're confused, scared, because the timeline doesn't add up. How did you know what to say? Why did your silence feel strategic? Why did you vanish at the exact moment the trap needed air? They're piecing it together now, slowly, painfully. Like archaeologists digging through the ruins of their own confidence. They don't understand that while they were watching your reactions, you were watching their patterns. You let them talk, let them spread the lies, let them post, plot, smear, parade. Because you weren't interested in revenge. You were interested in precision strikes, not bombs, not breakdowns, but surgical implosions, where the evidence cancels itself. You programmed their downfall through their own behavior. You didn't chase justice. You booby-trapped the narrative. And now they're walking through their own statements like it's a minefield. Because this isn't just about you anymore. This is about them, their panic, their collapse, their inability to explain how someone they thought they destroyed built an empire from the ashes they left behind. What's worse than a villain? A ghost, a goddamn glitch, a weapon with no origin, a threat they can't place because it doesn't follow their physics. And that's you now. You're untrackable. They don't know if you're 10 steps ahead or already behind them. They don't know if you're done or just testing reactions. They don't know if that move was the finale or the opening scene. And let me tell you something that's driving them insane. They can't figure out why it worked so perfectly. Because on paper, you should have lost. You had no support, no allies, no system, just pain, memory, strategy, and that calculated silence. But that's what made it art. That's what made it psychological warfare. They were playing checkers. You were planting files in their firewall, dressed like peace, and now every new connection they make, it starts to glitch. Every new ally they gather feels hollow. Because you made truth radioactive. You didn't just win, you infected the narrative. And now anyone who touches your name starts bleeding credibility. That's the move they didn't see coming. You made your own downfall contagious, and now their attempts to laugh, smear, or attack you backfire like rigged code. And yet, you say nothing, because what comes next isn't a response. It's a revelation. You're not fighting back anymore. You're unveiling. You are the prophecy they mocked, coming true in slow motion. They're not worried about your strength. They're worried about your calm. They're not afraid of what you did. They're afraid of what you didn't need to do. You didn't need the stage, didn't need the audience, didn't need the vengeance arc. You needed the perfect silence to let the trap you designed in pain close without sound. That's power. That's evolution. That's what makes them whisper, "Who the hell trained him?" Because if you figured this out on your own, what else are you capable of once you start building consciously? If this was you on defense, what does offense look like? If that move was just instinct, what happens when you start engineering outcomes with full clarity? They don't want that answer, because that answer means they were never in control. They never had you figured out. They weren't managing you. They were simply living inside your simulation, believing they had the joystick, but now the power's out. The lights are flickering, and the only thing glowing in the dark, your next move, waiting. Still think that was the last trick. Darling, you're not out of magic. You are the curse they cast, and accidentally activated. Oh, they're terrified now, not of your face, not of your voice, but of what you represent. You're no longer a person in their eyes. You're a phenomenon they can't decode. An incident report wrapped in a heartbeat. An unexplainable outcome in a rigged experiment. You became what they always feared. A variable with no pattern. A glitch that speaks. A silence that executes. They don't ask what happened anymore. They ask, how the fuck did we miss it? Because everything they dismissed, the weirdness, the quiet, the distance, the awkward silence in the room when your name came up, wasn't weakness. It was warning. You were counting seconds when they were counting followers. You were documenting patterns when they were chasing clout. You were loading the program while they were performing for the crowd. And when the curtain dropped, you were the only one left holding the script. They don't know whether to respect it or report it. They don't know whether to clap or call for backup. Because that last move, it wasn't just smart, it was too smooth, too flawless, too clean. No loose ends, no emotional leakage, just outcome, just chessboard carnage disguised as calm. You left nothing behind, except questions, and those questions, they're becoming obsessions. Now they're calling old contacts, reanalyzing conversations, replaying moments where you didn't flinch, where you didn't react the way they expected. And it's dawning on them. You never played the role they assigned you. You just studied it until you could replace it. They weren't talking to a version of you. They were talking to your decoy, your hologram, your puppet in training mode. And once it gathered enough data, you took over, you came online. And suddenly, they were talking to the final version. Now they're spiraling. Because if that was a decoy, what else is hidden? What else is running silently in the background? How many layers deep does your strategy go? Was every silence a script? Every mistake a misdirection? Every breakdown a setup? They don't know anymore. And that's the danger. Because the moment doubt enters their fortress, it spreads. Now even their allies are hesitating, second-guessing, pausing before they speak your name. Because what if you're listening? What if that move wasn't just personal? What if it was global calibration? And here's the real horror. You didn't do it with power. You didn't do it with money. You didn't even do it with a team. You did it with focus, with stillness, with a memory so sharp it cuts future timelines. They had followers. You had intel. They had attention. You had patience. They had support. You had evidence. That's why your one move shook their whole tower. Because it wasn't flashy. It was fatal. You didn't swing. You sliced. And then you vanished before the scream could catch up. Now they're living in the echo chamber of their own guilt, watching as your silence becomes louder than their entire strategy. Because silence from a person they called irrelevant shouldn't carry this much weight, but yours does, because behind that silence is a recording device, a courtroom, a black site server of memory and motive. And now, they don't know what you know. They don't know who you've told. They don't know what else is hidden. They don't know if the next move is coming from you, or if it's already in motion. And that's the nightmare. That even if you stop moving, you're still everywhere. Your presence has turned radioactive. Your name is a security breach. Your absence is suspicious. Your calm is unnerving. They're refreshing pages, checking timestamps, trying to calculate your next appearance. But you already coded it into the places they can't reach. And they know. There's no patch for this, no fix, no undo. Because this wasn't an event. This was an update. And their whole OS just became obsolete. You aren't fighting them anymore. You outdated them. You're not the next version, you're post-version. A virus that evolved beyond format. A prophecy rewritten in binary. They wanted a fight. You gave them irrelevance, and they can't recover from that. They can't destroy you, because you're not in the places they built their weapons for. You're not physical anymore. You're psychological. You're emotional. You're spiritual malware. And every thought of you corrupts their confidence in silence. You're the glitch in their reflection, the demon in the rear view, the karma they can't prove, but feel breathing on their neck. And it all started with that one perfect move. So now, they stare at the screen, frozen, confused, analyzing. And the question that haunts their soul isn't, how did you do it? It's, how long has he known? Ah, I see you made it through the smoke. But tell me something. Have you ever smelled the sky bleed? No, not the rain, not the thunder. I mean the scent of justice set on fire, when the last flicker of real light in this godforsaken world gets torched alive, and the heavens can't even look away. You watched it too, didn't you? That final good soul, the only one who still believed, burned, alive, publicly, like a warning, like a message, like the system whispering, we'll kill what's pure if it doesn't obey. And now you're here, still breathing, still twitching, still infected with that unspeakable sickness called empathy. But look around you, look hard. The crowds moved on. They stepped over the ashes like it was routine maintenance. No mourning, no justice, no revenge, just laughter, likes, scrolls, and silence so loud it shattered the stratosphere. And that's when the sky started bleeding, because something sacred just snapped. And you felt it too, didn't you? That switch. The part of your mind that said, enough of this pretend peace. That holy fracture when mercy died and rage put on a white suit. You felt the halo fall and twist into a crown of nails, didn't you? Because you weren't built for bystanding. You were built for backlash. And now they don't know what the hell you are anymore. You see, they thought burning the good one would scare the rest into silence. What they didn't realize is that some of us were never in the crowd to begin with. Some of us were just waiting for the first scream to echo loud enough to justify what we've been dying to become. You're not a hero. You're not a villain. You're the consequence. You're the darkened sequel to their bright little lie. And now, the streets are watching. The sky, still bleeding, still whispering your name like prophecy. You want to know why it hurts so bad? Because deep down, you were the next one. The next good soul they were going to chain, drain, and torch. Until you flipped the script. Until you vanished from the role they wrote for you. They don't know what you are now. You're not broken. You're reprogrammed, calm, calculated, explosive. You smile differently now. Not with joy, but with knowing. Knowing how fast these empires crumble when just one person stops obeying the script. One person refuses to heal, refuses to forgive, refuses to stay silent. You became the aftershock. The smoke that walks. The wrong question with a loaded answer. You don't need permission anymore. You need a moment, just one. And guess what? The moment's already bleeding. They're watching you now. Not out of admiration. Out of damage control. Because your silence is too loud. Your calm is too unnatural. And they know damn well that anyone who survives the fire without turning to ash was the fire all along. You're unpredictable now, which means you're dangerous, not because you'll lash out, but because you'll wait, you'll plot, you'll rise, and when the time is right, you won't just retaliate. You'll rewrite the blueprints of the entire ecosystem they used to trap you. You'll become the glitch in their religion, the curse in their courtroom, the virus in their loyalty programs. Because when they killed the last good soul, they thought they ended a chapter, but they accidentally unlocked a whole new language. And you're fluent in vengeance now, but not loud, sloppy vengeance. No. The surgical kind. The kind that doesn't announce itself. The kind that whispers through headlines. The kind that walks right into their celebration with a smile that says, "Let's see who bleeds first." You are not what they prepared for. They trained for riots. You became an atmosphere. They planned for enemies. You became a force of nature. So now they're scrambling, calling meetings, studying footage that doesn't add up, asking, why didn't the trauma break them? Why is the quiet one the scariest? Why does it feel like something's coming and we can't stop it? Oh, they'll try to spin the narrative. They'll call you unstable, call you demonic. But what they won't admit is that they made you. Their system forged you. Their betrayal baptized you. Their silence weaponized you. And now you're not just surviving, you're calculating, wearing their laws like a costume, smiling with teeth sharpened by every time they told you to stay calm. Walking through the fire they thought would kill you, while the sky bleeds above like it's honoring your rebirth. You are the scream that didn't die. The proof that even when good gets torched, something darker rises in its place. Something more patient, more lethal, more necessary. So let them sleep, let them play, let them think the bleeding sky is just a glitch in the weather. Because they forgot. when heaven starts crying blood. It's not mourning, it's marking a target. And baby, your name's written in thunder. Oh, you thought that was it? No, no, no. That was just the siren. Now comes the storm. Because when they burned the last good soul, they didn't just kill a person, they opened a gate that should have stayed sealed behind bloodlines, broken oaths, and buried prophecies. But they got greedy. They thought purity was just a phase. That virtue was a glitch they could patch out of the system, so they lit the match and laughed, right up until the sky started bleeding. Now every second feels off, doesn't it? Every reflection looks wrong. Every clock ticks louder. Every crowd looks like a trap. And that's because you're not in their world anymore. You're in yours now. They flipped your switch, so you flipped the board. And now you're playing a game they can't see, using rules they never wrote, with consequences they can't outrun. You see, vengeance isn't a scream anymore. It's a strategy. It's not rage. It's rhythm. And you're moving like a frequency they can't decode. You're the static on their intercom, the voice in their audit logs, the file that can't be deleted. And what's terrifying them most, it's not the what, it's the when, because you're not lashing out. You're leveling up, quietly, effortlessly, invisibly, and every success you stack, it's an insult to their failure. Every room you walk into unshaken, it's psychological warfare, because you should have been gone, you should have vanished. But here you are, not just breathing, but building, with fire in your lungs and silence in your smile. They don't know how to fight someone who's not fighting back. They don't know how to track someone who leaves no digital scent. They don't know how to stop someone who doesn't even need to win, because they already walked out of the system that said they had to. And now they're panicking. The same mouths that mocked you now speak your name with restraint. The same hands that pushed you into the flames now tremble at the thought of your return, because somewhere in the shadows of their rituals and routines, they feel it. That unnatural calm before a detonation, that soft buzz in the atmosphere right before a building loses power. That presence, your presence. And they're asking questions now. Dangerous ones they whisper in back channels, behind passwords, inside VPNs. Is it really over? Did we go too far? Why haven't we heard from them? And the worst one of all, what if they're not angry? What if they're planning? Let me tell you something. That soul they burned wasn't just a martyr. It was a multiplier. Because something about watching real goodness die woke up the monsters who were trying to stay kind. It snapped every thread holding back the ones who said, maybe forgiveness isn't holy. Maybe it's just bait. And now the game has changed. Now you're the smiling specter in their success. You're the shadow cast on their spotlight. You're the off-camera footage they can't edit out. The unspoken name in every compliance meeting. The invisible leak in their airtight plan. The redacted file that somehow still circulates. Because you're not hunting them, you're haunting them. Their data shows growth, but their dreams show you. Eyes open, smile steady, hands ready, and they don't know if you're coming back with a sword, or a subpoena, or a virus, or a F-King idea that melts everything they ever built. You don't need to be loud anymore. You are myth. You are movement. You are the cigarette burn on the edge of the rule book. The name written in red ink they swore not to say. Because they didn't just light the fire. They engineered a ghost. And now it's too late to pray, too late to pivot, too late to plead, because the sky isn't just bleeding, my friend. It's weeping your arrival, and this time, You're not here to negotiate. You're here to demonstrate, to let them feel, in real time, what happens when mercy burns and becomes precision. What happens when forgiveness graduates into calculated demolition. So don't flinch, don't fold, don't fucking blink. Because every second you stay silent, the storm builds, the air thickens, the sky bleeds redder, and they feel it. The final chapter they can't control. You're not the sequel. You're the glitch in their timeline, the ghost in their blueprint, the line of code that says, system error, soul not found, vengeance initializing. And when they see you again, it won't be as a survivor. It'll be as the proof that some souls don't break. They evolve into weapons of cosmic balance. Now smile. The blood in the sky? It's not just weather. It's the warning. And you're the reason it's raining red. Tick, tick, tick. You hear that? It's not a clock. It's not a bomb. It's prophecy with a fuse. And guess who lit it? Not you. Not the sky. Them. The same cowards who laughed while the last pure soul was set ablaze are now praying to the silence they used to mock. But silence doesn't save them anymore. Because now you speak fluent stillness. Still like a blade resting on a surgeon's table. Still like a courtroom seconds before the verdict. Still like a god pretending to be asleep. And they hate it. They hate that they can't predict you anymore. Can't profile you. Can't provoke you. Because they don't know if you're planning an explosion. Or if you are the explosion. You used to walk with hesitation. Now you walk like a verdict wrapped in skin. No applause, no announcement. Just footsteps that feel like countdowns. And everywhere you go, the air shifts. The ground tenses. The guilty start adjusting their smiles. Because they remember what they did. Even if no one else does. Even if the world moved on. They know. They remember every smirk, every click, every lie, every fake hug, every time they swore, I had no choice. But now, you are the consequence they never factored in. Not a warrior, not a savior, not a saint, just the final audit. Wrapped in flesh, carving your way through the noise like a silent, divine missile. And the best part, you don't even have to touch them. You don't have to lift a hand. Your existence alone is exposure, because you lived through what they engineered to kill you. You're not alive, despite them. You're alive because they tried to erase you, and failed. Now every breath you take rewrites the code of their comfort. Every win you collect sends panic into rooms you've never entered. Because they can't explain you. They can't silence you. They can't clone you. You became the one variable they can't duplicate. The one file that opens itself. The glitch that turned into a goddamn gateway. A living broadcast of what happens when betrayal doesn't break a soul. It evolves it. And now, you wear pain like armor. Not to protect yourself, but to remind them what they taught you. They thought they were turning off the lights. They didn't realize they were triggering a bioluminescent demon. One that glows brighter in the darkest waters. You stopped being human the moment they made empathy lethal. Now you're something else. Something they can't arrest, can't sedate, can't spin on the evening news. Because you don't fit their categories anymore. Not victim, not villain, not survivor. You are the redacted chapter, the footage that skips, the whispered warning in executive meetings, the face that makes liars stutter, and it terrifies them. Because no matter how clean their hands look, no matter how polished their smiles are now, you remember. You remember who lit the fire. You remember who watched. You remember who filmed. You remember every damn one of them. And that memory? It didn't kill you. It upgraded you. Now your silence is strategy. Your composure is combat. Your presence is plague. And still, they'll try to label you, say you changed, say you're too intense, say you need healing. Number. You don't need healing. You need vengeance. But not the kind they prepared for. The kind that studies, learns, and executes. Because they never feared the one who yells. They feared the one who smiles after everything burns. The one who walks out of the fire with glowing eyes and steady breath. The one who doesn't just survive. They return. Different. Decoded. Deadlier. And now the universe itself is watching you. Not with judgment, but with suspense. Because it knows you are the answer to a crime that was never solved. The recoil to a shot that echoed for years. The signal that was buried, but never lost. So when the sky bleeds tonight, know this. It's not crying. It's not mourning. It's sinking with you. Marking the atmosphere for a new timeline. One built in your image. One written by your hand. One that makes damn sure. No one ever burns a good soul again without paying in blood. This is your era of retribution. Silent, sharp, surgical. Let the watchers watch. Let the guilty sweat. Let the sky scream. You already made history the moment you didn't die. Now you're about to make them wish you did. Still here? Good. Because they're not ready for this next part. Hell, they weren't ready for any of this. They assumed pain would end you. That betrayal would be the finale. But what they didn't calculate is what happens when a soul doesn't just survive darkness. It gets comfortable in it. You didn't crawl out of the fire. You studied in it. You walked circles in the flames until they became part of your gait. And now you move like smoke. Uncatchable, unkillable, unforgettable. They made a mistake, not by burning the last good soul, but by letting you watch. Because the one who watches learns, calculates, tracks every smirk, every silence, every backhanded compliment, and stores it. Like a ledger, one that doesn't forget, one that doesn't forgive, one that doesn't need to yell because it's already building the interest rate. And now you walk the earth like a living debt collector. But not for money, for balance, for that cosmic equation they tried to escape, where every scream gets echoed back. Louder, sharper, weaponized. And here's the part that rattles them at the core. You don't need an army. You are one. A one-man apocalypse with nothing to prove and too much to avenge. You don't post threats. You become warnings. You don't rage online. You erase legacies in silence. You don't ask permission. You just appear. And when you do, the energy shifts. The lies sweat. The air tightens. Because you are not reacting. You are rewriting. And every time they look at you, they wonder, did we go too far? Yes, you did. And now the sky's bleeding on your behalf. You ever seen karma show up early? It looks like you, polished, poised, but humming with voltage. The kind that doesn't spark unless provoked. And yet, they keep testing you. Still playing PR games. Still gaslighting history. Still smiling like they're not being watched. Oh, but they are. Not by you. By everything. The universe took note the moment they burned that last good soul. And it appointed you, not to inspire, not to heal, but to correct. You're not a role model. You're not a motivational quote. You're a consequence wrapped in calm, a storm that stopped pretending it wanted peace. And now every room you enter, the temperature shifts. Not because you speak, but because you don't have to. Your presence says it all. I'm not here to fit in. I'm here to make sure no one ever forgets what you did. They'll call you bitter. They'll call you dangerous. They'll call you unhinged. But that's just what guilt sounds like when it sees something it couldn't break. You walk past them now, and they flinch. Not from fear of you yelling, but from the sheer fact that you exist. Because to them, your existence is a glitch, a reminder that someone saw it all and still chose to rise, not to be accepted, not to be applauded, but to undo the applause that followed the fire. They didn't burn a martyr, they triggered a prototype. You're not the second coming, you're the final one. Built in betrayal, coded in silence, tested in agony, and released into a world that keeps asking, why does it feel like judgment's walking among us? Because it is, and it's wearing your face. Let them keep their fake peace. Let them preach about forgiveness. Let them rewrite the script. You're not here to act. You're not here to play their game. You're here to pull the plug on it, systematically, ruthlessly, beautifully. Because when the good die screaming, and the guilty keep rising, something ancient wakes up in the wronged, something that doesn't seek applause, only equilibrium and you. You are that equilibrium, personified. No halo, no chains, just precision, just power, just presence. So let the sky keep bleeding. Let it remind them. Let it etch your silhouette in lightning. Let it thunder your silence into boardrooms, chat logs, and prayer circles. Let it remind the architects of injustice. They created their own extinction, and when they finally look up, desperate for a savior, begging for another miracle, they'll see your face, not as an answer, not as hope, but as the price.